I've been on both sides of it. I've played the comparison game before. I've also been pulled into the comparison game. Hey, Survivor. Welcome to episode 133 of the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Today, we're talking about a dynamic that happens a lot, gets internalized, normalized, and often goes unchecked. I call it the post-traumatic pissing contest. And we'll get into this not-so-friendly competition and the damage that it can cause. But first, let's self-regulate with a 4-4-8 breathing exercise, if you'd like. We'll inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How does it feel to remind your nervous system that you're safe right here, right now? Grab your notebook and pen, and let's dig in. Hey, Survivor. Welcome to the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Do you want to disconnect from a narcissistic or toxic situation and heal? Are you Googling how to identify a narcissist, narcissistic abuse, and boundaries? Are you feeling stressed and lonely while trying to avoid being sucked back in and lied to again? Hey, I'm Lesley. As a busy wife and mom, I fell for the lies and manipulations of narcissists. I wasted my time, talents, and money on users who kept moving the goalposts. I wanted real relationships and business opportunities and to enjoy life with my family. Instead, I struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia, and I couldn't trust my body or anybody until I took a holistic approach to healing. In this podcast, you'll find tips for healthy living, trauma healing, and boundaries so that you'll have the freedom, confidence, and inner peace to respond, not react, after narcissistic abuse. Take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and just relax. This time's for you. Recently, I had a phone conversation with a sibling about our shared trauma. And we both, during the conversation, acknowledged the dysfunction in our family and just the harm from growing up in a narcissistic family and some of the poor choices that were made, some of the dynamics and generational patterns of behavior and different things like that. And I even went as far as acknowledging up front the fact that this sibling, as well as my other siblings, that all of us had different lived experiences and varying degrees of fallout or, traumatic experiences along the way that we had to move through and deal with in our own ways and in our own individual lives. And I made that distinction up front on purpose because I knew that this particular sibling had really gone through a lot of hard things. And even though I tried to, make these validating remarks and front load them, the sibling still said to me, and I'm paraphrasing here, well, your experience wasn't as nearly as bad as mine was. And I wasn't shocked to hear that. However, in the moment, it did feel invalidating to a certain degree. And it also felt a little frustrating because, again, I had really been intentional about acknowledging the fact that we had all been through various experiences and that there was different fallout for all of us. That being said, I did acknowledge it for what it was in the moment as well, and the post-traumatic pissing contest. And I even said out loud, without being disrespectful or reacting or knee-jerk or anything, I said, you know what, there's no need for a post-traumatic pissing contest. Absolutely. That's why I acknowledge that we each in our own ways have had to move through and process and fumble and stumble and figure out and heal and deal with all of this traumatic fallout from our upbringing. Also expressed a lot of admiration and respect for the way that this particular sibling had overcome their fallout, and that, it's probably one of the most inspiring stories of someone turning their life around that I know of personally. And I verbalized that during the conversation. But at the same time, I still drew that boundary line of like, okay, this is a post-traumatic pissing contest. There's no need for this. And went on to reinforce or reiterate the fact that, yeah, as I said, we each had our own fallout and had to move through things in our own way. So you may be in a situation where you are facing something similar, where either someone is engaging you in a post-traumatic pissing contest, or maybe you are doing the engaging. And honestly, I think that this is part of the traumatic experience and response is just seeking a validation, like what happened sucked, it was real, you didn't make it up, or it was as bad as you thought it was, or just even the need to feel better in the moment, like, okay, well, you've got a point of reference here because someone else has shared something. I have an opportunity here to play the comparison game and validate my lived experience as being as bad as it was and what happened really happened. And I think that at the end of the day, a lot of it is about feeling better and feeling that validation. So I wanted to share with you a few key things to keep in mind when you face a post-traumatic pissing contest. And it doesn't matter the relationship. It can happen in the context of a family relationship. It can happen in a friendship. It can happen on the job. It can happen among neighbors, strangers. Either way, it doesn't make it any less painful or invalidating when it does happen. And you may be the one that's perpetrating the comparison game, or you may be pulled into the comparison game by someone else. I've been on both sides of it. I've played the comparison game before. I've also been pulled into the comparison game, like say, for example, in this conversation that I had. And I'm not even mad about it. Like it wasn't shocking to me at all. But here are some things to keep in mind as a survivor when you are faced with a post-traumatic pissing contest. One is that trauma is not a competition. This is not the Olympics. This is not a competition. Pain is subjective, and the severity of it doesn't always show on the surface. And every body literally is different, and everybody keeps the score. So, and then comparing wounds from trauma creates separation. It also can be isolating instead of creating empathy and healthy relationships. And the irony of that is that there is so much healing power in community. So playing the comparison game creates these rifts that prevent the power of community from being able to come into play and create a healing environment for you or for others. Also, constantly playing the comparison game can activate a stress response, and exposure to chronic stress is going to compromise your health and well-being. So that's going to undermine the healing process from a holistic standpoint. Number 2, name it, don't shame it. When someone minimizes your experience, call it what it is. This is a comparison game or a trauma comparison, not the truth, or as I call it, a post-traumatic pissing contest. And you can even say something like, that's your experience and I totally respect it. My experience was also harmful, just in a different way. And that way you're acknowledging what you've been through without trying to perpetuate the one-upmanship, and instead just acknowledge everyone and also just make a distinction between individual lived experiences without invalidating them. This can help to just prevent the minimizing of people's realities, whether it's yours or whether it's someone else's. Number 3, don't hate, validate. Every survivor's story is sacred, and you can use grounding tools like meditation, journaling, and even a safe community to process any invalidating feelings that may come up for you. or experiences that may come up for you, like, say, for example, an invalidating conversation on the phone or in person, or an invalidating interaction on the job or at a family gathering. And there are even programs, structured programs that you can go through as well that can also help, and can also help you to be able to find your tribe or put yourself in a safe community where you can process what has happened to you and get on a path of healing. Know that you're allowed to grieve over what has happened to you, even if someone else's experience looks different, or by society standards or whatever, or on the surface, if it looks worse. You're allowed to grieve. Take the time to do it. Now, outcomes from trauma are not just based off of what happened or determined by what happened, but the way that you internalize it or the way that your nervous system responds to it. Also know that healthy boundaries can include validating yourself even when others won't or don't. Emotional boundaries matter. So, some takeaways here. You don't need anyone's permission or participation to validate your pain. Your lived experience is yours, and someone else's trauma doesn't invalidate or erase your own. And having emotional intelligence and maturity means holding space for yourself, but also holding space for others. It's not either or, it's yes and. So you don't have to minimize your pain or make yourself small or invalidate your experience or negate your experience or neglect it in order to respect someone else's experience. There is plenty of room for every story and everyone. Remember, you don't have to win to prove your trauma. Own your truth without the drama. Thanks for tuning in, Survivor. Your story matters. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Survivor. Do you want to heal after narcissistic abuse? Come and join me in a closure coaching session. This is a 1-hour, one-on-one coaching call that's going to help you disconnect from dysfunction, create your own closure, and begin a long-lasting journey of healing, step by step. Head right now to closurecoachingsession.com. If this podcast has helped you understand who and what you're dealing with, sharpen your discernment, and move forward on your healing journey, share it with another survivor. Help me help others by leaving a review for the show. And let's connect on social. Take a screenshot, share it in your IG stories, find and tag me at The Vibrant Survivor, and I'll share your post too. I look forward to connecting with you on IG and seeing you back here. You're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll meet you back here next week. Bye-bye.